Moment of silence from Councilman Sakala.
Thank you. I don't have a prayer, but I sort of have a reflection. We've had about a month off from a meeting, and I did a little reflecting, and I wanted just us all to take the opportunity to sort of understand and reflect on the honor and the privilege we all have being able to attend these meetings tonight. Let us work together for the betterment of our town and our residents. Let's make this a productive and collaborative and maybe even quick-ish meeting. That's it.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And can we have roll call, please?
Counselor Sakala.
Here.
Counselor Crisati.
Here.
Counselor Hendrickson.
Here.
Counselor Ludwig.
Here.
Counselor Mangini.
Here.
Counselor Nasuda.
Here.
Mayor Nelson.
Here.
Deputy Mayor Pisner. Here. Counselor Russo.
Here.
Counselor Santinella.
Here.
And Counselor Ungary.
Here.
11 members are present, none are absent.
Thank you, Sheila. In the event of a fire and emergency, there's two means of exiting the council chambers: out the rear doors, a safe distance away from the building, or out the side doors down one flight of stairs, and out the back, a safe distance. Thank you. Next, I will entertain a motion to approve the minutes of the special meeting of June 16th, 2025.
So moved.
Second.
Motion's made and seconded. Is there any comments, corrections, concerns? Seeing none, all in favor? Opposed? Abstentions? One abstention? Two abstentions? Three abstentions? Ooh, sorry. And then the regular meeting of June 16th, 2025.
So moved.
Second.
All in, any comments? Seeing none, all in favor? Opposed? Abstentions? Three abstentions. Thank you. Tonight we have no special guests, so we will move right into public communications. Any person who wishes to address the council shall first be recognized by the chair and shall state their name and address for the record. They shall limit their remarks to 5 minutes. After each person who desires has had a chance to speak, those desiring to speak a second time will be permitted to do so and shall limit their remarks to 3 minutes. During public communications, item 7 on the agenda, public members shall limit their remarks to 2 rounds, 8 minutes. During public communication, item 16 on the agenda, if prior to 11 p.m., each person shall limit their remarks to 3 minutes. Public communication shall be limited to 1 hour unless extended by a majority vote of the council. All remarks shall be addressed to the council as a whole and not to any individual member. All remarks addressed to the administration of the town shall be addressed to the town manager and not to an individual employee. Public members shall observe proper decorum and good conduct and shall refrain from personalities and improper language. Who would like to come up? George, come on up.
Good evening, Council, and welcome to the former Town Manager, Matt Koppler,
Name, George.
whom we expect a lot. George Young,
George.
8 Holly Lane. Imagine I forgot after all this, a month off, you know. When he started on July 1st, he started with a lot of questions that need to be answered or addressed so we can evaluate where he stands on issues that some of us taxpayers are concerned about. Let's start talking about trash. In this era of lack of transparency, why hasn't the trash study that the residents paid for been released? Please don't say it isn't finalized, because that is not a reason to not release the report that was completed. In your previous time as town manager, the town received accolades and awards for fiscal accountability. When will the June 30th, 2024 audited financial statements be done and available to the public? By now, there should be a start to the year-end June 30th, 2025 closing and getting ready for the start of another audit period. The council is voting tonight on the appointment of auditors to complete the fiscal 25 audit. I believe that the auditors should be invited to be special guests and explain to us how the town is doing from a financial standpoint and what they have found that is taking so long to complete an audit. There is also a separate audit of the school board, and we should find out how that is progressing and when it will be completed. It is impossible for most of us to know what is really going on in this town without the reports completed. The supplemental information is also key to what has happened in the previous year and if the town is in compliance with state and federal requirements as to the use of grant monies, etc. At the June 16, 25 Water Pollution Control meeting, I had suggested that the town increase the charges to the WPCA for support provided by the town for information technologies and for the support services provided by the town manager, town attorney, and other offices. The estimated charges of $37,731 and $390,517, respectively, are outdated. Those charges were probably derived at the outset of the WPCA, when Mr. Koppler was the town manager in 2014 and 2016. Another best estimate is long overdue. The impact would be to decrease a portion of our mill rate and increase the sewer usage fee. That suggestion was not acted on, but instead we heard from the finance director that we are ahead of schedule in billings, and collections were a little behind the projections. He then suggested an increase of 50 cents per 1,000 gallons up to 20,000 gallons, and an increase of 75 cents per 1,000 gallons above 20,000 gallons. There were no explanations as to why collections were running a little behind, nor was there a justification as to how many dollars these increases after July 1, 2025 were going to bring in, and where will they be spent. Once again, the public gets no transparency, but is expected to shrug our shoulders and accept the increase. We want some transparency because only Mr. Henderson acknowledged that now we are going to be ahead of schedule with our rate change. The council approved the change without any real questions, unless they had questions and the answers came at another secret meeting. It seems that billings are not the problem, but collections are. How is that being addressed? It is not acceptable to just bill and take more money from our pockets as a hidden tax increase. A few months back, the council vote rejected the senior volunteer tax credit for fiscal 27. The budget for fiscal 26 was $100,000, and I would like to know how much was the actual expenditure on July 1 this year. It was a question that was asked and not answered in June. With a new council being elected this year, it may be possible to reinstate this if the cost is reasonable and the objections from just a few can be resolved. Finally, I'm sorry to hear that Mr. Ludwig is not running in the fall. He is a wealth of knowledge on this council and one of the few whose votes do not necessarily go with the majority, but has taxpayers in mind. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else?
Hi, my name's Concetta Airy. My address is 13 Sword Avenue, Enfield. There's a couple things I wanted to address. One is the north end of Enfield and the lack of money that's put forward or that has been put forward in that area of town. It looks like trash. We've lived there for 55 years on Sword Avenue. My parents owned the home before my sisters and I own it now, since their passing. And with all of the smoke zone shops and all of the smoke shops, it looks like hell. And I don't know if a charter needs to be changed. I'm not quite knowledgeable about how everything works to limit the amount of smoke shops that there can be within a certain area. I know that Rick Rochelle has been going to them to stop the signs and the flags from being out in front of, next to the road, which makes it look even worse, which they're not supposed to have, from what I understand, according to zoning. But I do wish some money was put forth, town manager, please, in that area to make things look a little nicer. Maybe some of the lights that are in Thompsonville or Hazardville, the black post lights or pots with plants in them, something like that along that roadway. We are a gateway into Connecticut from Massachusetts, and it should reflect that. And not only just for that reason, but also for the taxpayers as well. And I'm sure you hear this a lot. I'm a taxpayer, but I am a taxpayer. I don't mind that my money goes to various different things, but I do want my money to go towards some of the things that interest me. And one of them is the way the north end of Enfield looks. I consider myself a moderate conservative Democrat, so I don't necessarily vote Democrat. I vote whoever I think is going to do the best job, whether that be independent, Republican, or Democrat. I'm open for that. I appreciate the fact that the budget was held down this year. That I appreciate a lot, that there was a lot of resistance to just raising to whatever departments want or whatever the school wants. A lot of times I think the school wants a lot of money, and I think that needs to be looked at. I don't have any children. I want this town to be a nice town so that families want to live here and good people come to live in town, but I also don't want to spend a fortune in the schools either. So I appreciate that that was held down this year. Another pet peeve I have right now is that Sword Avenue needs to be repaved. It hasn't been done in, I say, approximately 40 years. And I know for a fact from the DPW engineer, the assistant DPW engineer, that there are streets that have been repaved multiple times under the road budget plans that have been up every 5 years. And I vote for them, I approve them, I vote yes in my vote for them every year because I want the streets to look nice in Enfield and be paved. But our street has not been touched, and it's a mess. Our curbing is missing all throughout the street. It goes past the 91 bridge, and the curbing is missing from the plows through the year. So you might see sparse curbing, and then you'll see none for long periods of stretch on the road. We want it redone, and we would like some pressure put to the DPW to finally do our street. And we pay our tax dollars every year, and we think we deserve to have our street put in there as well. So that's one of my things. And I know they say the squeaky wheel gets the grease, and they want to hear what streets need to be done, and I'm putting forth that street be done. I know it's going to cost a lot of money. That's what I was told, and that's why it's been put on the back burner a little bit, because it's a little more expensive. We did have the water company come through and do some work, and they really did a crappy job thinking that the street was going to be repaved, so they really weren't all that fantastic about the pavement redoing that they did over the waterworks, the lines that they put in. So even though I don't come to the meetings, I watch the meetings all the time. I know what's going on in the town. I do contact some of my representatives. And I don't want you to think that just because people aren't here that we don't watch what goes on the Channel 16 on Cox, because we do, or at least I do, to stay involved and to know what's going on. And I appreciate all the work that everyone does here, because I know you do it of your own free volition with no payment package or anything of that nature in your own time to represent the citizens of Enfield, and it is appreciated, and the work that you do is appreciated. I would just like some attention and money to go again towards the north end of Enfield. I think that we need someone more than just one person doing the zoning violations in Enfield. I think that needs to be looked at. I'm up.
Your 5 minutes is up, but you
Okay,
can come back for a
that's it.
second
No,
time if
that's
you
it.
choose
Thank
to.
you. I just want
Thank
that
you
looked at
very
as well.
much.
Thank you for hearing me. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Anyone else? Ma'am?
Hi, Christina Tatro, Green Manor Road. I was just here to invite everyone to the farmers market that happens on Sunday mornings from 9 to 12 behind the town hall. This Sunday, we are going to have the Children's Entrepreneurial Market joining us, where we will have at least 21 child vendors in addition to all of our regular vendors. They have to do everything on their own. Their parents will be here to help them, but it would really be nice to see support from everyone. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Christina. Anyone else? Sir?
Hi there. Chris D'Antonio, 18 Montana Road. I am a part of the Planning and Zoning Commission, but I'm speaking on my personal capacity. I'm following up on the recent update. I heard about the primary CT Transit bus stop being moved from the mall to, it's been decided, apparently 90 Phoenix Ave. 1.3 miles down the road seems short when you drive, but it's not that short when you walk or bike. especially when it's 1.3 miles further from the center of town, which has the highest walking and biking population. The place that I remind you is being actively developed to be transit-oriented. It's in our plan of conservation and development, 10-year plan. What makes this even more offensive is that this location doesn't even have a connected sidewalk network leading to it. So you're really going to make people walk and bike along a 4-lane divided highway with a posted 40 mile an hour, and you know that's a minimum 40 mile an hour people are driving to get to their bus stop. Not to mention that nightmare of an intersection on Phoenix Ave and 190, which doesn't even have a dedicated pedestrian interval. This is just a bad idea, and I want to be clear about that. I get you think you're just checking a box and doing some property logistics, switching things, one location to another, but that's not what this is. It's seemingly small things like this where people ignorant of transit systems and mobility equity make decisions that make life harder and harder for people who can't or don't want to drive everywhere simply to exist in society. I get also, this probably doesn't affect you personally. So to put it in a context that you may better understand, I bet you've all complained about traffic before, right? More cars, that's annoying. Here you are with the power to do something about it by being supportive of transit and putting it in a spot that's useful in the center of town. Instead, you're furthering the bygone idea that transit users are second class and the ignorant idea that all transit riders drive to the bus. The trees and green space that were paved over right behind us replaced part of our Central Park with the massive parking lot, which also a bad idea I won't get into. But here it is sitting mostly empty most of the time. Instead of, at least being useful as a central bus stop for the town, at least for a few years until we get the train station up and running. I ask that you work with DOT to reconsider your decision. I'm sure they were involved in it too, and don't worry, I'm not letting them off the hook. I don't think the DOT has been good about having a good transit system either. But I ask that you work to improve our transit system to make it better, not worse. And either way, whatever is done, at least, again, consider the fact that it's a transit system and make sure that the local magic carpet routes are adjusted to connect with the new location. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Ken?
Ken Boulette, Brainerd Road. I wasn't really planning on speaking tonight, but I want to thank all you guys for all you do. Mike, sorry to see you go. You've been an advocate for the taxpayers, for everybody in Enfield, and it's much appreciated. And I know none of you guys hear enough. Matt, welcome back. Surprised, but glad to have you. It was nice working for you for the years you were here before. But anyways, I just wanted to say about the transfer for the pickleball courts. It is much needed. On any given day, there's 40, 50 players over at Mark Twain. With 6 courts, that's like 24 players can play at a time. It's much needed. A lot of communities are putting them in. I see it on the news all the time, and I hope you guys, strongly consider approving that transfer because it would be great. It's a great social thing. It's my part-time job now, as I tell my wife. Like I said, it's a good thing, and a lot of people really do enjoy it. And a few of you are supposed to start playing sometime, Bob. And I also want to thank Kathy Kane and Sue Crank for all they do for being advocates for the pickleball. It's great, and I think all of you can try it. I didn't start till about a year ago, but I'm hooked. But thank you all again. Have a good night.
Thanks, Ken. Anyone else? Okay, seeing none, moving on to councilman communications. Cindy?
Thank you. I have a few items. Happy to report the Cemetery Association is going to begin with the contractor to repair the fence that was damaged. And the exact timing of the repair is still to be determined, but it's on the agenda very quickly. I would like, through our mayor, to our town manager, in Public Works Subcommittee, we did speak about the intersection of Jefferson Street and Hazard, where I know Donald had a term, he applied to it. We could put some sort of a sign asking people, do not block the intersection, because it's almost impossible to get out of there any time of day or night. And people should not be blocking the residents from Middle Road and the side roads to get onto Hazard Avenue. I also want to announce that Rotary is looking into a grant which they will use a portion of it for the Rotary Park. As you know, the playground is in disarray and it needs serious repairs. So Rotary has agreed to help out with that. The details will be forthcoming. And also, we have the Mount Carmel celebration coming up, which I'm really very excited to welcome everyone to attend. We kick off our feast on July 31st, which is a Thursday evening, with our procession to honor Our Lady. And it continues through the 3rd of August, which is a Sunday, where we have our morning Mass in Italian, and it's outdoors. And again, Friday night, Saturday, Sunday, we have bands, we have food, mangia. There's lots of good Italian food there, and a lot of fun, a lot of activities for children, for adults. So I want to bring that forward. And I do want to thank the Public Works Department publicly, because I put in a request to our town manager's office that the potholes be filled on Sumner Avenue, because we process on Thursday evening through Sumner Avenue, and it gets dark. We have candles, and if you're not watching where you're walking, you're going to trip and you're going to get hurt. So I took a drive over there recently and learned that Public Works did fill the potholes. So thank you for taking care of that. And finally, I do want to direct a question through our mayor to our town manager. On Juneteenth, that was actually a national and state holiday. A couple of residents have been inquiring as to why our library remained open, and I don't have an answer for that. I don't know if we have an answer for that, but I'd like to pose that question. Thank you. Thank you.
You want me to answer that one for you?
Sure, please.
So that one, I got a phone call, and I called the town, and that is a floating holiday that all the union members have a choice on what days they choose to take. And the library chose to work, and it has nothing to do with the town. It was their choice, their decision. Other departments chose to take that as a legal holiday. So kind of
Thank you for
confusing.
explaining.
Yep, but I had asked, so. John?
Okay, thank you. So through the mayor to the town manager, while Mrs. Airy is here, do we by chance have any idea when Sword Avenue is on the schedule to be paved over? Do we have?
Actually, Donald knows. Sword Avenue is going to be placed on the referendum of 2026. Yep.
Okay, thank you. It's on the next referendum, so it's not going to be paved in 2026, but it's on for the next referendum. Okay. And also through the mayor to the town manager. So you were not here, and we were looking all over the place about where we were going to move the commuter bus, to Mr. D'Antonio's point. And honestly, it never dawned on me that there was not a sidewalk that went to the location that we ultimately picked, and so I am concerned that if there are a number, I don't know, I don't take the commuter bus, I don't commute very far, so but I don't know how many people are actually walking to the bus. If there are a number of people, that is a concern, and I wonder whether or not the Magic Bus, if it is our intention to connect the Magic Carpet Bus to the commuter bus. I don't remember if we discuss that or not. We didn't, right? You don't remember either? Right, okay, I just think some things that we should be considering, because I think that those are legitimate concerns for us. And then the final thing is, do we have any sense of what is going to happen to our towns, our health insurance premiums in the next budget cycle? There's a lot of discussion about health insurance premiums and where those are going. Have we had any visibility or any forewarning about that and what's going to happen next?
I can handle this one. It's premature right now because some of our rates are built on our experience, and our experience is every month it changes based on what the impact is for our employees and what they incur. And then you also have the industrial rates that hospitals are charging. So it's based on personal experience because we're self-insured, and then also what's trending across the board. But we don't have the new rates yet because they're still being developed as we speak.
So because we're self-insured, do we have a certain amount of protection from those spikes because we're largely self-insured from just past experience? I believe so.
Yes,
right?
we have a reserve. Yep.
Okay. All right. Very good. Those are the only questions I had. Thank you.
Thank you. Let's see, you got two of them. Christina, I can't wait to go to the farmer's market as soon as tournament softball season is over and baseball season is over. I will be there. Thank you to the 4th of July Committee for another entertaining and successful festival on the green. They do a lot of work, and I know that it is a huge undertaking, so thank you and kudos to that entire committee. Through the mayor to the town manager, I did send you an email, and I believe you were prepared to speak to them in your report, but I am looking for an update and sort of a plan on what we're going to do. I have questions, and I've been asked questions regarding both the Powder Hollow field and the JFK fields. JFK doesn't really look like it's being adequately maintained, and I know that we have to prepare for sports to start there in August and September since we have middle school sports again. And Powder Hollow, when is that going to be up and running? It really needs to be maintained because we don't want what we just had done there to just be completely all for naught, I guess. And the other two things were I've gotten questions and complaints about two, I guess, traffic lights or traffic patterns. One is the intersection of South Road and Enfield Street. If you're coming from South Road onto Enfield Street, you can be at that light for, I mean, I'm not kidding you, 2 to 3 minutes, maybe even longer sometimes. I know personally because I'm stuck in it every single morning when I go back to my house from the gym, but I've gotten complaints from other people, and I've seen people just take a left when there's nobody there because they've been sitting there for a very long time. And lastly, I believe I asked this question of Chris many months ago via email, but I know there's a lot of chatter online regarding the traffic pattern on Hazard Ave in front of sort of the strip malls that we have and how much of a nightmare it is trying to get out of the Marshalls, Aldi's, Red Robin parking lot. And I know that's a state road, so I don't know if there's any intention for the state to maybe come in and look at the traffic pattern and how long those lights or how long they're not green for, because it is a disaster there several times a day. And I know that I'm probably not the only one who gets contacted about it. So that's it. Thanks.
Okay, thank you. A couple of concerns that I do have. Well, before I even get to that, first of all, Mr. Young, you did bring up a few good points tonight. We always do. One is the release of the report, the privatization. I think that's long overdue myself, number one. Number two, in regard to the senior volunteer tax program, I totally agree with you on that, and you being a vital member to that particular group. So hopefully we can, resurrect that sometime in the future. Ms. Erie, I totally agree with you about the north part of Enfield with the beautification going up into Mass. That definitely needs to be improved and looked upon. I totally agree with you in regard to all the smoke shops that are on Route 5 going into Massachusetts. And I know a lot of people from Mass come and utilize that. Chris, I totally agree with you in regard to the transit. I think your idea of the parking lot out here being a good location, I think, is something that we could actually look into, and I think that's a great idea. So keep your ideas coming. All right. I also had a few emails, concerns. We just got done with, wrapping up an ADA compliance. So through the mayor to the town manager, even to the town attorney, could we do an assessment on ADA compliance on our athletic fields? Whether it's ADA bathroom compliances, porta potties, just accessibility into our athletic fields. I know we've had complaints about the annex, we've had the complaints about Powder Hollow, even Brainerd Park. But if we could get an assessment on all of that to see if we are in compliance or if we're not. So I'm not going to make any judgments to see if we are or we're not, but I would like to get maybe DPW to take a look at that so that they can formally tell us what's in compliance and what's not, and what we can do about it to make that an issue. The other thing, just very quickly, 4th of July, was a great time. It was a great weekend. The weather was fantastic. Maya Matthews and her singing of the national anthem, she did a fantastic job, fantastic. So it takes a lot of courage to get up there in front of all the people that were there for the fireworks. So that was great. Come on out to that Italian festival. Italian singers, accordion. I can't wait for the accordion player to come out. That's got a special little heart to me. And Lights Out, Frankie Valli tribute Sunday night. Should be a good time. I do want to give a shout out to Eversource from last night. There were over 800 people here that were affected with that storm that came through, like a microburst without really any warning that did come through. They came in, they took their time with their assessment because obviously when there's storms coming out, they're not going to come out until the storm is through. But they did a great job in getting the trees off the wires and restoring power. Now, they said that they were going to have power up by 6 o'clock in the morning. Well, here it is 2:30 in the morning, and we got our power back. And, so 2.5, 3 hours before, what they actually told the customers, I think we should just give them a little shout out too. They always get complaints, but those workers came out there and got the job done on a Sunday night. So things were pretty smooth for Monday morning here in town. So I'd like to give a shout out to them. But that's it. Thank you. Thanks. Yeah.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. A few different items. One item for concern, I'm not sure if this goes to a subcommittee, maybe public safety or DPW. It's the Town Farm Road. It's the bike path. I think we call it the bike path. It might as well also be called the walking path. I drive by there pretty much every day, and it's definitely getting a lot of use, which is great. And the construction's pretty much done. They've extended it down Town Farm Road and now gone north up to Broadbrook Road, up to Fletcher, and there's that nice crosswalk, the illuminated crosswalk, which is great. My concern is on Broadbrook Road, 45 miles an hour. As Chris said, that's the speed limit's kind of the minimum, what people do. People race around there. The bike path is really close to the road, And for consideration, I don't know if we can think about a safety barrier or something we can maybe put up there, something that's safety, but also aesthetically pleasing. But that's just an issue of concern with, especially with the speed. Now, obviously, Town Farm Road, there's concerns there too. Maybe that can be looked at, but at least the speed limit's supposed to be 35 on that road. But Broadbrook Road, especially that little extension that goes from Town Farm Road up to Fletcher, and the bike path is right next to that road there, really close. And I'm just concerned as people are using that bike path and cars are racing through, if a car is just distracted a little bit on a cell phone or something and goes off a road a few feet, they're into that bike path. So maybe we can take a look at that and see if there's something we can do. This is a carryover. So through the mayor to the town manager, Matt, same thing, roads 2021, Homestead Drive, looking for some answers on that from constituents, and also Willstar Circle. Those are two, and then if we could possibly get an update from the DPW director as far as where all these projects stand. And there's not a whole lot of information online, and I've been getting some calls, not about these streets, but other streets as well, just kind of to see where they are and the order of construction and where that process is, whether it's this year, next year, and I think people just want some answers on that. And Ken, you spoke. You said you're hooked on pickleball. I thought you were a soccer guy.
Different seasons.
All right. Thank you.
Councilman Ungary.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'd like to congratulate the 4th of July Committee for that great event they had on the town green this month. They plan that event all year. They meet, and it doesn't just fall together instantly. There's so much blood, sweat, and tears that go into that event, and I just really appreciate all the volunteers that help and work that long weekend. And I actually worked that whole weekend, and we had a great time. I'd also like to commend Mike Emmons, who chaired the event this year. I'd like to congratulate Marlene Hodzinski. She received the Patriot Award this year, and I got to present it to her on the town green. So she's very deserving of that award. So thanks, Marlene, and congratulations.
Thank you, Lori. Councilman Hendrickson.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. A couple things. Through the mayor to the town manager, I asked for an update on the beaver on Great Brook, if you could have that for me.
He's captured. He's captured.
That would be a great update, but the people on Ridge Road are concerned on that. I'd also like to second Councilor Russo on the roads update. Ridge Road's another one. I know I drove down there, Holly Lane. I'm sure you're waiting there, George, also. What's that? Also, Mr. Young, I will get you an answer on that tax credit for the volunteers. That number should be easily to get. I don't understand why. I missed it last time you did ask for that. So we can get that for you. Ms. Ari, squeaky wheel does work. I know we've had a couple conversations also, and North Thompsonville does need some extra work up there. And Seward Avenue, I did see it was below the number, so it sounds like Donald's got it on the list. So that's it. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilman Ludwig.
I'll be brief. I wasn't going to say anything. Real quick, through the mayor, actually to Steve, the insurance, you remember we had asked during the budget for it, and I think whether it happens now or for the next council, definitely need to do a workshop on how the benefits work. Again, look, they haven't been benefit changes for 10 years or so. That is unheard of, even in the public sector. I think the Board of Ed is actually looking at making some plan changes. I think I also think, remember, we also have stop-loss protection. So we have reserves, but also stop-loss. To answer Councilman Santinella's question, which covers catastrophic claims. Unfortunately, like Steve said, unfortunately, really in any plan, the claims are pretty much off the charts, and I agree. There's some issues with hospitals' costs as well, but they're actually supposed to be, per the law, they're actually supposed to be posting their costs on their website to let people know how much it does. I don't know if all the hospitals are doing that, but that's supposed to be as well. But I really think it would be beneficial before you get into the next round of contract discussions to have that, so council can make a decision before you negotiate contracts, which is when the council has to weigh in before you present. And I think it's well worth to have a workshop to explain to people, how much it costs, so people understand. And again, when in the self-insured plan, I think, it's just to actually the trend for the town actually isn't as bad as it is elsewhere. And it's not great here. I mean, I don't want to minimize the fact that it's been higher, but you're seeing double-digit trends, unfortunately. People are using the doctor. And so I think, Steve, that was a suggestion through the budget to answer Councilman Santinella's question. It'd probably be very worthwhile if it's something in the fall or certainly early winter before the next round of labor negotiations go in. That'd be my suggestion for people. Sorry, real quick. The bike path, actually, I know this might through the mayor to Donald. Other towns have put up, I think you can see it, Simsbury has a really nice, where there's a dangerous, or something that's considered dangerous. They have like a wooden barrier. It's I think we could do it there, if I understand the location where Councilman Russo's talking about. Probably, and I don't know if it would be in the scope of the project, but certainly something the town can consider. And I think even Suffield has them as well on their bike path. There's some of those kind of wooden, like post barrier that helps prevent if a car is going fast enough, but there is some protection. Maybe we can look into that. And again, I'm not trying to be facetious here at all. One of the reasons I don't disagree with the smoke shops up and down Route 5, Massachusetts doesn't legalize the sale of vape. Unfortunately, Connecticut does. Guess what? We're a border town. And sorry, A plus B equals C. And I agree with you. It's a shame because there used to be a lot of nice different businesses on the north end. And now it's pretty much, it starts at the border with that new, and then it goes all the way down to here. So completely understand your point. But maybe the state, we're one of the few that legalize the sale of vape. Maybe it's something with all the new medical data that's out there. Maybe the state can relook at it. And to that point on the Route 5, and we haven't discussed this, and again, through the mayor to the new town mayor, by the way, welcome. Good to see you. Hope you're doing well. I mean, we're having a lot of discussions on TIF. It's been about 6 years since we passed the original policy. I don't think everyone understands the original policy, and I think some of the things that are going on sort of weren't the intent of that policy. Maybe there, again, a workshop or a meeting with the council to explain, if not the next council, because at one point we were considering making north end of Route 5 a TIF district, and I think we stopped because we wanted to see how the corridor from the mall to the river went. It's a suggestion that maybe we make parts of the north end. I know we can't do it all because I know there's the math of 10. I can't remember 10% of overall assessed value, but certainly I think you could do from the border, maybe down to like where the say the new where Cloverleaf is opened, or maybe at a firehouse. Maybe you don't have to do the whole. But I think there's ways of looking into it to help to get some some of the lampposts or flower baskets or whatever it may be, which is really was the intent of some of that on the north end. It just unfortunately, for whatever reason, we didn't do it initially because we were focused from the mall. But again, I don't think the mall takes up that full 10%, cap that we have to live by statutorily. So I think you actually could look into it as a suggestion. And again, Mr. Young, I'm gonna have a little fun with you. Are you willing to trade Holly Lane for Sword Ave on the roads referendum? No, because no, and I think the Sword is on again, as mentioned, on the next to-do list. That doesn't mean it'll be on 2026. It means that they go through the evaluation. I still thought, if I remember, Donald, keep me honest, there was about 20 roads. I know folks who always, and again, I'm just saying, your road probably is as bad and has been done, but I still think there's about 20 roads that still probably haven't been done in about 40 years, and I know Sword's one of them. So, but the good news, when we did this back in '21, we were town with the pavement condition index, we were one of the highest in the state. And I apologize, it doesn't help you on Sword Ave, but the program works every 5 to 6 years of the referendum, to your point. It's worked, and it's actually, we're one of our again, pavement condition index, it's called. And Donald, I don't want to speak for you, but I know we were approximately around 70-something%, if I remember correctly, when we were in 2001, which is pretty impressive if you think about it. So yes, more work to be done, but I think a lot of work has been done, and it's been and it's a taxpayer program. You folks have voted for it since 1999, I think it was, the first year, and so good for you. And again, we understand, I know Sword Ave well, and yeah, I mean, I think there's a little bit of debate whether the curb should be in there or they shouldn't be in. I mean, so it's a fair assessment. So thank you, I'm done talking.
Thank you. Deputy Mayor Pisner.
I do feel your pain, Miss Ayer. I live on the north end, and I get emails and texts and calls, and I'm happy to see you here tonight voicing your opinion. I tell everybody, you're right, squeaky wheels get the oil. So I have been voicing my concern from the dais. I have been voicing my concern in my TIF meetings. I have been voicing them in economic development. When I moved there 47 years ago, B&B Market, Friendlies, Abdow's, I can go on and on. So I would love to see some type of a facade come through there. And I remember about 20 years ago, we had Northgate, and actually Matt and I had this chat in his office when we met, and I would love to see some of that brought back and resurrected. So I encourage anyone who lives in that area who's tired of looking at it, come and speak to us. Get the squeaky wheel coming. I, too, would like to thank the 4th of July. I apologize. I had a family commitment that last weekend, and I could not attend it. I love the parade. I love the event, but I couldn't be there. However, I did get a lot of great feedback, residents telling me how wonderful it was, how great everything went, the music, the fireworks. But I do get a question from residents, and it's, does the town provide any assistance for this wonderful event? And I am happy to say yes, we do. It is a line item budget. We actually appropriated almost $93,000 for this event. It goes to the overtime for our great police staff, our B&G that come out and help with the electricity, that help with the picking up of the garbage at the end. So it does go for that. So yes, there is some town money that is appropriated for it, but I think it's well spent. I think the taxpayers in this town really enjoyed this event, and I'm happy to do that. I also want to say Mount Carmel. Mount Carmel's near and dear to me. It was my mom's great love, and so I am thrilled that I'll be there on Thursday with you doing the candlelight. Mount Carmel actually starts on Thursday at 8 o'clock with the candlelight rosary.
And Sunday morning.
And Sunday morning for Mass. Absolutely, Cindy, you've got that. We're going to miss Father Bruno this year. I do want to speak to the Juneteenth that Cindy just talked about. I got this letter in the mail tonight, and so I'm hoping the person who wrote this to me is watching. It was just simply signed an Enfield resident. We want to answer your questions, but we can't answer them if we don't know who you are that asks them. So it was on my agenda tonight to ask about it, and Cindy beat me to it. I think we all got a letter or a phone call similar to this. So please, whoever wrote this, feel free anytime to reach out to myself, and I'm going to speak for every other counselor. We will get back to you, but if it's signed Enfield resident, we can't get back to you. So please, let us know. And I believe that is it, so, okay. Oh, wait a minute. Congratulations, Marlene. I know you stole my thunder, but I wanted to say that, too.
Thank you. Couple things. First, we all get hit with the roads, every one of us. So on one of the next coming meetings, can we have Donald come in as a special guest and do a presentation of what's done, where we're going, and what we're doing right now, and get everybody up to speed? That would take care of that. Next, I would like consensus to send the bike path and Phoenix Avenue to the DPW subcommittee, because he's 100% correct on those sidewalks. I don't understand it. All of Southern Enfield couldn't walk to the mall. There's like a 300-foot stretch of sidewalks that aren't there. And to put this bus stop there, it just blows my mind. And I think we need to get it on DPW's agenda immediately. Let's get plans drawn up and, find out who owns the parking lot, where they're going to have the bus stop, who owns the property where the sidewalks are missing. I think we own it, and get a cost to put the sidewalks in, because it has to happen. My concern is how permanent is the location of this new bus stop. So that's why let's send it to DPW if you guys are okay with it, and work on that and the bike path. The bike path is very confusing at night. it's dark out there. There is a driveway. You come out of Fletcher, take a left, there's a driveway on the right, and you think you're turning down Town Farm Road. You're not. And it's all wide open. You can't tell what's what. So if you guys are okay, can we add that to DPW?
I'm good.
All right. Next is, I would like to add to the Public Safety Committee, the Powder Hollow Park. It is ridiculous down there. The trash is overflowing. We have no parking signs up and down the street, and there's still parking up and down the streets. We need to just make it mandatory towing. And then Middle Road to Hazard Avenue, where Cindy was talking about. She is right. People have no more common courtesy anymore. You can't get out. And I know there was talk about just completely blocking that off. One, it would eliminate some of the traffic right there. The residents would have to go to South Road and then come out at the light or head back down to Hazard Avenue, whichever way they're going. But you can't get out and head to the center of town anyways. You just can't get out. So I think we need to discuss with public safety and get their thoughts on this to address it, because it's a problem. It's a big problem. I agree with you, Cindy. Concetta, Sword Avenue, we'll get the update when Donald comes in. Give us the whole scoop. Christina, the farmer's market, I will say half of our garden at home is with plants, starter plants that we bought at one of the first farmer market. And we're about ready to start picking some produce. So, Christian, I addressed you. Ken, the pickleball courts. You talk about the squeaky wheel. Definitely. Susan and Kathy, kudos to them, 100%. But I got to give a special shout out to the first person who really started busting my chops over the pickleball courts, and that was Brett Stoddard. He was a very good friend of mine, and I miss him. But every time we talk pickleball, it makes me smile and think of Brett. So this is for Brett tonight. The Middle Road, the library, playgrounds, the town of Enfield did invest $400,000 on replacing all the rubber turf. That's all done. The town of Enfield did invest the money in all the repairs, and Rotary has stepped up to help offset some of the costs. They're hoping they can get a grant. But the town of Enfield took the lead on this. I want to be clear. They are helping. To what extent, we don't know yet, but I would like to thank the Rotary for that, for helping and offering. Powder Hollow. Do we control this field yet? Don't we? Because it's not getting mowed, and nobody seems to have the answers. But it's got to be any time now where if we don't control the field yet, we're going to. So my concern is, a year ago, we agreed to pull out the dugouts because we were going to raise money voluntarily to replace them. I did find somebody, Spazzarini Construction, to remove the dugouts because we had commitments from Bob and everybody that they would raise the money to replace them. So I'm starting to get a little nervous because baseball season's going to start on that field and we're not going to have any dugouts. So do I make a challenge to the council or the people who said they could raise the money? I don't know, but we got to do something soon, because that's why there's no dugouts there. We would have never pulled them out if that commitment wasn't made. And then George Young. I'm going to go along with like Councilman Ludwig. Let me ask you, which budget would you rather have passed? They were all on TV. There were no secret meetings. There was nothing behind the closed doors, so you speak. Would you have rather had their budget at $700 increase and you get a $400 break, or our budget at $200 with no $400 break? Because according to my math, you're still way ahead of the game with our budget.
First of all, I never got the $400.
This isn't a back and forth. Okay. So the point is, you talk about the senior volunteer tax. Okay, by removing that, everybody in the town got a savings, more than $400. So it was a win-win for the entire town, and those people who did receive the $400 last year, they're currently $100 to $200 ahead this year and they didn't have to volunteer the time. I believe volunteering is done for goodwill, not for a payment, because that's a job. So that's all I have for that, and thank you. Town Manager's report.
Thank you very much. And good evening, and it's great to be back. Although, I haven't had an 11-member council in a few years, so I didn't bring enough paper to write down all the things you were talking about. I do have a number of updates, and I think some will address some of the questions and comments that came up earlier. I'm going to start with the audits. As you're aware, we are behind on the town's fiscal year 24 audit. Based upon what I'm being told, we do have the draft of the FY24 audit that we are reviewing right now. We believe that, that's the wrong one. We believe that we should, by mid-August, have the final report for that. So that is coming, and of course, we'll schedule the meeting with council to go over that as necessary. It will put us a little bit behind on the FY25 audit, but I think with the appropriate pressure, we get back on schedule like we should be with that. So it shouldn't push that beyond what it normally does. And I think, again, my pledge is that I've never missed an audit in my career. I don't look forward to doing that now. So, we'll make sure we have the resources to get it done in the future. The other audit I wanted to talk about, just make sure I have it right here, the school internal operations control assessment and advisory audit. Does that sound familiar? To make sure I'm talking about the right thing. Actually spoke today with the company that is handling that for us, which is CLA. They started officially when the town signed off on the audit. They're right at the end of June. They're in the process of scheduling the individual meetings with different parts of the school operation. And they feel that they should have that completed sometime in mid-August. And once they have those interviews completed, what I was told is, they'll be able to tell me exactly when to expect the report. I knew that's probably not a great answer to come back to you with. So I kind of worked backwards with them when I was talking to them. And my question was, normally, what would a report like this take? If you went, did it, when you make that proposal, what is that time frame? That time frame could be as easy or as quickly as 6 weeks. It could be as long as 10 weeks. So looking at it from the worst possible case, 10 weeks from July 1st, right? So that puts us probably into September. I would hope that's where we're going to be. I'll definitely know that by mid-August. I've also asked that I be included in all the update meetings that's going to be done. In talking with all of you that had issues with that, I heard, and I wanted to make sure that I am involved so I can keep, this moving forward and get conclusion, because it just, to me, doesn't make a lot of sense that we're talking about it now, right? I mean, this is something that probably needed to be taken care of so we could move on, understanding what transparency needs to be done, and move forward with that. So I don't know if you have any questions on either of those two audits. If not, I'll move on. Oh, yeah, go ahead.
My only request is that when they're ready, can we have a public presentation on it?
Yeah.
And can they be here in public? They were on Zoom last time. This is important. It was, I think they need to be here in person. It needs to be on TV. And I just don't want to report. And then if we can, it would be great.
No, I will definitely push for that. I think closure is very important in these things. So to get to closure is one of my goals as quickly as possible. Yes.
Along those lines, Mike, I know we've never done it, but a lot of people have questions. George. He has a lot of great questions. Other people do too. Do we allow some sort of a public question and answer when they're done with their presentation? I know we've never done it, but we talk about being transparent. I don't know if we legally can. I don't know how that works, but is that something we can look into at least, Matt?
Yeah, it's a public document, right? Once it's completed. I guess in kind of thinking through that, there might be two different types of questions that come up in that, though, that may not be as helpful, right? I mean, they're going to be addressing certain things, and there's certain things they're probably not going to be addressing in this audit. And so that's the only thing to think of, that maybe it might be, rather than, if we get those questions in advance, potentially, as always, if you get it to us early, we can do research and we can get the answers. And so there may be things that, they could answer, things that they may not be able to answer that we could answer. And so, given advance notice to some of those questions would be very helpful.
So what if we were to do this then? People watching, you heard the town manager, get your questions to him. And you will send them to the auditor. You'll get the answers, and we can either post them on the town manager's website. These are just some basic questions from the residents, or we can discuss them that night on the floor. But either way, George will be able to ask his questions directly to them, because I know we don't have a lot of the answers that they're looking for either. So something along those lines.
No, that'd
Okay.
be a fair way to go.
All right, thank you.
Yeah.
Bob, did you have?
No, that was
Okay.
make sure it was in public.
Along those lines, when we're talking about reports, the refuse report, our plan right now is to have that on the next council agenda, so that would be September 15th. We should have that report, knowing that sometime the first week of September. So that's when we'll have the official report.
All right, and as soon as you get the official report, when you send it to the council, if you could put a PDF or whatever up on the town's
We can post it,
website?
yeah.
Thank you.
Not a problem. Okay, so following up on Councilwoman Sakala's questions. So first, the signal plan of South Road and Enfield Street. So I'm not going to argue with you. I'm just reading what I'm saying first. It says that could be as long as 50 seconds, but has not been verified. And so DPW will be reporting that to CONDOT for their review. So we'll get them to come out and actually do the review to see what the actual timing is right now. So, what's that?
50 seconds.
That's a long time when you're sitting there.
It's not even me. It's not even me. Other people.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. No, I know exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah. Yeah, and I go through there every day as well, so I'm going to see what that is. But so we'll have them review it, and we should get an official answer back one way or another. And again, if the standard is supposed to be 50 seconds and it's not, they'll have to reprogram it to get it back within those, that parameter. So there is a project to do the retiming of the lights on Hazard Avenue. It has not started yet due to delays in the submittal process. CONDOT and the contractor, who is Ferguson, are back and forth about new mast arms and coatings. This was confirmed this morning via phone call with the project engineer. So has not started. They are working on it. Some back and forth, typical back and forth type things, I'm assuming. But it is moving forward. As it relates to the JFK campus, I saw just what you've seen. We haven't necessarily prioritized that during the summer because it wasn't something that was going to be in operation at that time. They did prioritize other areas, but now with the oncoming school and the focus on that, They are starting to shift their resources to actually maintain those in better condition and get them ready for the playing season. There's also some other questions. I know had a meeting with school leadership, and they have some concerns, and it was discussed about the general landscaping around JFK. And we are looking at not only what can be done to provide better maintenance options for the islands and some of the other areas around there. You know, I think in walking through with our staff, I couldn't find any grass, so it's not a grass issue around the building. And so that will be one of our priorities, is figuring out what needs to be done to actually get grass to take root there. And kind of, I mean, again, I'm not a landscape person. Probably, you know, I can keep some plants alive, but not all of them. But it kind of looks to me like there's, you know, the soils there are not really conducive to what we're trying to do. It's definitely very compacted, which, you know, will not let grass grow, but will let weeds grow. And so there may be the need to do some work there to actually be able to do things to get the grass to grow. And so they are working on that to figure out what needs to be done to you know, make that less of a headache and less of an eyesore, so we all can be proud of it. And again, you know, I think it's very important as we invest in all these buildings that we keep that investment going, because there's going to be more investment in buildings, and we want to make sure people understand that we are committed to maintaining what it is the residents have given us resources to improve. On Powder Hollow, what I was told is that the fields are progressing in terms of being able to be played on. They should be ready for use in the fall. Final determination is going to be made in August on that, though.
And we need to address the dugouts.
Yes.
Because there is nothing there. There's not even benches there. So I don't know if you've had any success, Bob.
Pardon me? Yes, and I do not have that up right now. But again, let me kind of catch up to that project a little bit more. I mean, I had a little bit of conversation with 2 council members on it, and I just haven't had a chance to kind of synthesize all that information to figure out what needs to be done with it. But
Okay.
I have one more thing. He has something he wants to bring up. Related to the road status, so we definitely will have Donald be prepared at the next meeting to go at that. I know in talking to council members about that, I think we can do a better job on the website in updating this as well. So we'll be looking at how to get that information up there and be relevant to the residents when they have these questions. So we'll do both those things. And one last thing, Steve?
Well, make it 2 last things.
2 last
I'm
things,
getting
Steve.
hot news in right now that there may be a group of people interested in building dugouts at Powder Hollow. So stay tuned for that as I'm reading an email that just came in. So, and secondly, we are past the halfway point of our summer concert series. Last week we had over 450 attendees, and Deputy Mayor Pisner was dancing with the Bon Jovi tribute. Not dancing.
dancing.
Oh, sorry, did I say it out loud? She was enjoying a good time at the Bon Jovi tribute band. Tomorrow night we got Pop Rocks, which is, I guess, pop music. We do have a change. Rowe County, which was a country band, the band disbanded. So we did backfill, and we got Project 267 that's coming in. They came last year. Great concert last year. And then don't forget, August 5th is National Night Out. We got a Taylor Swift tribute band, which we expect a pretty good turnout. I'm told Black Hawk Helicopter and Lifestar is going to be there as well. It's going to be one heck of a national night out. I like it to be one of the best in Connecticut. But I'm biased. No offense, Councilor Russo. So the bands are going well. Tomorrow's supposed to be a beautiful night, so feel free to come on down, take your shoes off, put your toes in the grass, and enjoy some good music. Thank you.
Thank you, Steve. Yes, tomorrow is supposed to be a real nice day, so, yeah, thank you. Town Attorney's report?
Yes, good evening. I don't have too much to add, but with regard to Councilman Crissati and the ADA compliance assessment, from the town attorney's perspective, we're in compliance with everything that the town is supposed to be doing right now. We have no knowledge whatsoever of any requests that have not been either granted or at least being looked at. So just from the perspective of the town, we are in complete compliance with ADA, especially since Hernandez has just concluded. And at 4:15 this afternoon, I received an email from Wes Horton on Hernandez. It's taken a while since we signed the agreement and authorized the money and so on, but all of the paperwork has now been completed, so I'll read you. It's very short. Dear Tom, I have reviewed carefully all of the final documents and court orders. Everything is in order, and the case is now closed on all of the aspects of the liability, damages, and attorney's fees. It's been a pleasure working with you on the file. We will plan to submit our final settlement early next month, and then we should all be able to close our files, period. That's from Wes Horton. So once we get the final bill from Wes, we will then be able to tell you what the net settlement that we were able to claw back for the town was. And most importantly, that was the last nail that we needed to drive in to make sure, again, that we are ADA compliant with everything. In terms of an assessment, we'd be more than happy to work with Human Resources or the manager in coming up with some way of figuring out how to assess where we are. But usually it works with somebody making a request that we then have to look at. But anyway, the other thing I wanted to let you know is the Deer Park recycling project in East Long Meadow before the Board of Health and the Mass DEP. That's they have to make a decision by July 28th. So next Monday or before that, they'll make a decision. And when they do, I'll be able to make a determination as to whether it has a negative impact on the town of Enfield and the people over at the lake, as well as traffic patterns on Brainerd Road, Shaker Road, Elm Street, Hazard Avenue, for trucking that may be increased traffic. And I will then be in a position to approach leadership with some suggestions that probably would require at least one meeting, an executive session, to decide what to do. I do have options that I followed through on that are concrete, but they're not fit for consumption in public right now. So let's hope for the best, and we're prepared for the worst with regard to that. And that concludes my report, unless someone has a question.
Councilman Ludwig.
So through the mayor to Tom, thank you for just so you said the Massachusetts DEP was involved, correct, in this?
Yes.
Can I ask a dumb question? Is Connecticut's DEP involved with what we're doing here? And
Well,
your analysis,
with
it's right on the border.
Yeah, actually, State Representative Santinella has been instrumental in actually grabbing the ball and trying to assist through DEP in Connecticut. And also, we put in some inquiries through federal DEP. And so that's still out there. We haven't received a conclusive report back from them yet, but when we do, then we'll take that into account to see if we can use that to assist us in whatever we got to do up in Massachusetts. But yeah, Councilman Sandella reached out on his own to bring them into to us, which was good, because usually they're not talking to people right away. Anything else?
All set, Mike?
Yeah, oh, thank you. Yeah.
Bob, did you have your hand up? Anyone else? Thank you, Tom.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, moving on, reports of special committee.
I have one.
Go ahead, Jim.
Yeah, last week we had a joint facilities meeting, and, normally we're talking about problems with our buildings, leaky roofs, other things, but we did get notified that the town school departments received 16 furniture trucks full of furniture from Lego, including stand-up desks, conference tables, chairs, whiteboards, all donated to the town. So we're supposed to get they're going to put together a report and have a list of what was given to us by September. But that was good news. Wanted to share it. Thank you.
Great news. All set? Thanks, Jim. Lori?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. The America 250 Coordinating Committee met last week, and we're having a great time at those meetings. We're talking about history. We're talking about next year, 2026, about our big anniversary that's coming up. Sometimes we talk about history in Enfield and in Connecticut. So I have two questions through the mayor to the town manager. Do we have a town forest person? They're saying we used to, but I'm like, it might be just passé, or a town forest person.
We have a tree warden. I don't know if.
There he is.
But
Donald.
I think sometime in the past, we had actually, I want to say we had a consultant that really worked with us on forestry issues.
Okay.
So I don't know necessarily if we have a town forester, but we have a tree warden that's close to that.
Okay, the other question was, do we have a fence viewer? They're saying we used to back in the day.
A what?
A fence viewer? See, if neighbors had a discrepancy of where a property line was and where your fences were, the fence viewer would come out and survey the property and then decide, okay, this is yours over here, and they called it a fence viewer.
No, we're not getting involved in that.
They had a fence committee
Saying we used to have it, so I just said I'll ask the question.
between two neighbors.
So I'm being told that
Yes.
sometime in
Yes.
the past, there was actually a fence committee
Okay.
that when there was disputes, that it went to that. And I'm not sure when that was. I don't remember that.
That was long before your time, during my time in colonial Connecticut. There was a informal process where each municipality had a fence committee, so that if two neighbors were in dispute about whose pig ran over whose flower bed, the
Right.
fence committee would meet with the two neighbors and see if they could work it out.
Okay, great.
Really, only
Right,
Larry.
right, Larry.
Thank you,
Thank
Larry.
you so much. I will certainly pass along that information. The committee has come up with a logo for Enfield, and this is our logo. It says 250, and it has our drum on it. So the drum logo is a symbol, and it's a reminder of how an ordinary citizen can rise to extraordinary moments. So before the shot heard around the world up in Lexington and Concord, April 17th, 1775, Thomas Abbey found out that this event was going to take place, and we didn't have a bell he could ring, and so he got his drum and he announced, hey, you know, the troops, we need to rally up, and so that's what he's famous for, and that's why the committee chose this drum to keep it alive. There was no bell to ring, and men showed up with muskets and supplies, and off they went to help. I don't know if everybody knows, but actually our Enfield Police Department, on the patch on their uniform, there's actually a drum. And then there's a little eagle above it, but it's also commemorating Thomas Abbey. Just didn't know if everybody knew that. Out of 169 towns in Enfield, we have 118 towns that are trying to plan something special. But Enfield is ahead by leaps and bounds, according to Aaron Markovich. And he is really leading the charge, and he's doing a great job. But it should be a great celebration next year. Residents can get more information on the town website or the culturalandarts.org to find out new additions to this ceremony. We're hoping to have a poster contest with the students in school, maybe a couple essays, and a couple of the essays, the topics might be voices of the future or a hero in my family. And we're trying to plan some swag for people and kids, maybe some T-shirts, magnets, bracelets, things like that. So a few dates, if you'd like to save, would be April of 2026. That's when we're going to have the Thomas Abbey commemoration. And then, of course, July for our 4th of July celebration. We hope to do something special then. And also the Enfield Purple Heart and Veterans Recognition. That will be in November of 2026. So that's a great committee. It's a lot of fun. So this is our new logo. Hope everybody's going to turn out and enjoy it. Thanks.
Thank you, Lori. Matt, just to follow up, I sent an email like a week ago or 2 weeks ago. Our sister city in Taiwan, I'm just making sure somebody's going to follow up with them.
I am trying to figure that out, yes.
Okay.
We don't have anything that they're asking for yet, but we'll figure it out.
Okay.
And I'm actually going to reach out and see if they'll send us some of the different posters they have that they display at their city hall.
Right, because I know we have something in the lobby in the cases from them, and they reached out, so I.
Yep. Yeah, and they've requested for the town to send them posters that represent different scenes within the town. And so we don't really have anything similar to what they want, so we're going to try to figure out how to do it. So,
Councilman Mangini.
I have their tea.
Oh, good.
I saved it.
You didn't drink it?
No, it's in a red container. You remember?
Yeah.
So I'd be happy to bring it back. I did not drink it. It's loose, fine tea. I didn't steep it or seep it or whatever they call it. So, what are you laughing? I saved it.
It's probably still good.
It was a gift. It was a momentum. So I'd be happy to bring it back.
Okay. All done with reports to special committees? Thank you. Moving on. Unfinished business, there is none tonight. New business, the consent agenda. Is there a motion to approve?
Motion.
Second.
All in favor? Opposed? Abstentions? It's unanimous. Next is appointments, town council appointed. Number 1 is the Patriot Award Committee. The term of office of James Maloney, Republican, expires 7/31/2025. Reappointment would be till 7/31/2027.
So moved.
Second.
Second.
All in favor of closing nominations? All in favor of James Maloney? Opposed? Abstentions? It's unanimous. Welcome back, James. Next is the Patriot Award Committee. The term of office of Pamela Townsend, Republican, expires 7/31/2025. Reappointment would be until 7/31/2027.
So moved.
Second. Second.
All in favor of closing nominations? It's unanimous. All in favor of Pamela Townsend? It's unanimous. Welcome back, Pam. Next is a resolution to transfer funds for the installation of 8 pickleball courts at the Enfield Annex, $586,250. Be it resolved that in accordance with Chapter 6, Section 8F of the Town Charter, the following transfer is hereby made from general fund revenues, appropriated fund balance, $586,250 to general fund non-departmental charges, transfer out, and contingencies. Transfer to capital, $586,250 from capital non-reoccurring fund revenues, FY 25-26. General fund transfers in $586,250 to capital and non-reoccurring fund annex pickleball courts construction services, $586,250. Is there a second?
Second.
Motion's made and seconded. Welcome, Donald.
Good evening, Mayor, Deputy Mayor, and Councilors. Donald Nooms, Director of Public Works.
All right, so this is for 8 pickleball courts. Oh, you have it up here?
Well, okay. So this is the existing annex tennis courts right now. These 4 here with the white lines are the ones that we try to repair and at least try to do something with. These other 2 here are completely destroyed and beyond repair right now. We do have 5 light poles. You can tell the shadows. We got 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. This southeast one was wounded with some high wind, and we had to take it down, so that's no longer there. And again, we do the crack repairs as much as we can, when we can, but again, we just can't keep up with them. You can see how big from earth, how big those cracks are that we're filling in with concrete. So the proposed pickleball courts, the 8 of them would be on the westerly side of that tennis court area. All this other area would be removed. The blacktop would be removed, the gravel removed, and be loamed and seeded and just returned back to a grass area because it's in disrepair. This will have a 25-year warranty on the concrete, a 10-year warranty on the surface, which means the color is protected for 10 years, bubbling or peeling, whatever it is, protected for 10 years. We also have to provide an ADA access walkway to the place, and again, removal of all of the other blacktop, and that is for the 586-250 as recommended.
And then the South Road pickleball courts, we're going to remove the fencing and the equipment, and that will be for overflow parking for Mark Twain.
Yes, we can do that.
Okay.
There will be, again, that wouldn't be part of this, it would be.
But we could do that in-house.
Yes, yes, we should be able to do that in-house.
Right,
There's also, again, a proposal for 10 courts, which is basically just going more to the east, and that difference, well, it's $619,590, and that difference is $33,340. So.
All right, and when do you anticipate starting this project?
If money's available, we're going to get them on the schedule as fast as we humanly can. It should take 2 months to do it.
All right, so you're hoping to be ready to go this fall?
It would be a good goal to have that done.
Okay. All right, and then for 2 more courts is $33,340.
Correct.
Okay. So, any other question? Councilman Sakala.
Thanks. I really appreciate the warranty information because I find it very frustrating that we keep doing some of these projects and then they don't seem to last as long as we're hoping, and then we all have warranty questions. I just want to make sure that the Mark Twain courts are not going to be touched until this is done. That needs to happen well after this is done so they have somewhere to play. I am a little frustrated that this is coming now, a month or 2 after we approved the budget. I think this was ripe for budget discussion. And I also want to make sure that there's a plan that if we're spending this money here, that whatever happens with the annex, and we don't know what's going to happen with the annex, that we maintain control or a lease or whatever it is of this area as well as all of the rest of the field, right, is something, a separate issue for another day, because I don't want to spend $550,000 or $620,000 and in a year or 2 not have control of this area. So whatever the plan is in the future for the annex, this needs to not be included in whatever sale or giveaway that we do.
Councilman Santinello.
So I don't know if this is a question for you, Donald, or a question for the town manager, but how are we going to monitor who's using the courts and making sure that Enfield residents have priority of these? One of the concerns just that I have is, South Road, it's kind of tucked in the center of town. That is just over the border. Pickleball is incredibly popular. I can envision a lot of people saying, hey, there's these great new courts that they just built and there being an overflow. Do we have a plan to try to monitor the use? And just, as an aside, so I've gotten into playing pickleball and it is incredibly addictive and it is totally fun. I would be in favor of having a conversation about adding the extra courts. If people are willing to have that conversation, since we're doing all this work, because I honestly think that they're going to get used. I mean, I can see people using them. So those are my 2 thoughts, but I really would like to understand if we have any suggestions on how we just ensure that Enfield residents are getting the priority use of these.
I don't have a good answer right now on that, but it's something we will talk about and come
Right,
up
Parks and Rec, they should be booking through Parks and Rec. If you reserve the courts and somebody's there playing, you have priority on the court.
So just as it works, so when I go to South Road, I just park the car and go in, right?
Because they don't go through Parks and Rec.
Right, so now we're gonna have to, all these courts are gonna have to be reserved through Parks and Rec.
If
That's
you
the plan.
want guaranteed time. That's like if we are having a scrimmage game on the turf field, but we're not scheduled through the town and the Ramblers show up and they're scheduled, we have to leave the field.
Yeah, I mean, am I being unrealistic or? Yeah, okay, that's fine. No, I mean, I appreciate the fact that I'm being, okay, that's fine.
Because we had an issue with the South Road courts where the pickleball leagues were upset that people were playing on the courts. But they did not reserve the courts for their own time. So you, in order to take a priority on one of Enfield's fields, you got to be an Enfield League, and you have to reserve the field. You can't just say, get off. I mean, if you have a group of people and you're playing and you reserved it, nobody has the right to throw you off.
If you want to look into that and
Yeah, I mean,
that'd be fine.
That was kind of my initial thought, what the mayor is saying, do that, but I'd like, to spend time with staff to kind of walk through that to see if there's any other ways, because I mean, there's really kind of a competition of three different parties there, right? And you have the leagues, then you have people that, don't want to be a part of the league, but love to play pickleball, and they want to get, court time. And then you have the people that, could play it, may not play it, but, it's a Saturday afternoon, it's beautiful out, and they have people that want to go play, and, how do we accommodate them as well? So I think we just need to talk about all that.
All set? Bob?
Yeah. The Leisure Committee, we probably should have made a little announcement prior to all of this, but we did meet, we did discuss, we talked about court usage, we talked about safety, maintenance of the courts, types of schedule. One thing that was brought to our attention, that the pickleball play over on South Road is open. It's not a league.
Right.
All right. There are groups that come in. You have a beginners group, and then there's an open play. The open play is from 8 to 12. Anybody can go and play. It's nobody's reserving court time or anything like that. It's open play. It's not saying that, oh, I have this team. This is team 1, and this is team 3, and they're going to battle each other out. This is open play, and you rotate around. And so we met, we talked about that, we talked to Kathy about this, and public play is from, during pickleball season, because we have our indoor facility, but during pickleball season, during the week, Monday through Friday, open play starts at 8 o'clock in the morning, and it goes to around 11 or 12. Anybody can go and play, all right? So for somebody to say that they don't have court availability is not true. Everybody's welcome to rotate into either one of the groups depending on their level of play and how comfortable that they play. There's no private courts available during these times. It's just open play. Everybody comes in. And so what we did is we did make a motion to instruct the manager to issue signage for the pickleball courts, stating, 8 to 12, it's open play. You have 2 levels of play and groups, and there's no, everybody's welcome to play. Everybody. The play is open. So there is no leagues that are associated with this. There's no sign up or anything. It's flat open play. And
Well, it's not open play, because if I'm there at 7 o'clock and I'm playing on a court with my wife, at 8 o'clock, you're going to come tell me I've got to rotate through and I got to follow the rules? And, hold on, and we have another issue, Bob. Leisure Committee told the town manager to make signs?
No, we
That's
did
ano-
not. We
You
did
just
not.
said that.
We made a motion, okay? Okay, and Eric was there, and to issue signage for pickleball courts so that he could come and tell us about this. That
Okay,
we
because
would.
we've heard nothing about that.
Well, this is what came up. It was part of the minutes that were
So
submitted.
you have control of the pickleball courts from 8 till 11, or, right? That's what you just said.
It's open play.
It's not open. If you were going to show up with a group of people and take control.
Nobody's taking control.
But if you're going to rotate through and you have different leagues for different.
There's no leagues, Ken.
You said the level,
no.
play level, the play, different skill levels. My point is, if 6 different residents are on that court at 7:30, when the pickleball people show up at 8 o'clock, are you expecting those 6 people to give up their courts?
No, they're going to be part of the play, and they should.
What if they don't want to be part of the play? What if I'm playing with my wife and I don't want to give it up? That's why you reserve the courts, and they can reserve them every day from 8 till 11. It avoids confusion.
But no.
Yeah, I think these are
Yeah,
that we don't
Yeah.
need to
you know.
If if I could
If you're
suggest,
going to
I
get
mean,
up at 7 o'clock and play, you know.
Yeah, these-
I've never seen anybody there at 7.
these are all the things that give us an opportunity to kind of walk through with staff to see, what we think those issues are going to be in addition to what you're saying, because I have a couple of things that come to mind right away as well. But let us have a crack at that, and we can present to you kind of what we think that vision needs to be able to achieve what those competing goals are.
Okay. Bob.
2 things. One for Donald, because you're sitting here. Thank you for the presentation. I see on H, I'm assuming it's because of the conditions of the parking lot, that if they do any damage, they're not repairing that. That'll be on us. I didn't know if that was a standard part of a proposal, but I saw that. And 2, didn't Aaron mention something about a leisure grant that he was trying to get to hopefully pay for some of this?
He didn't get it.
We did not get it. Okay, that's what I wanted to know. Thank you.
Mike.
Donald, 25-year warranty, I want to be clear. Is it for crack sealing? Because that's the biggest hindrance on the courts is the crack. What about, so are they our nets, or they put it, who owns the
No,
net?
they're putting in new, brand
So
new, brand
the
new.
nets are 25-year warranty as well?
The nets? No,
No, just the court.
just the concrete.
Just the concrete.
Yep.
It's a tension like we did at
Right.
Wallop School Park, but the
So-
coating and all that's not.
On the proposal, it says the field turf will guarantee the post-tension concrete slab for a period of 25 years from structural cracking, heaving, and settling.
25 years from when they're finished. And
Correct. From when we signed the
of course, they go out of business.
substantial, field turf's been around for a long time,
Okay.
so.
No, I just, because I know we ran into this, the other company, I think, had a warranty and went out of business, yeah.
Well,
This is the same company that did Enfield High School tennis
Okay,
courts.
this is the same company.
Same exact company,
Okay,
yes.
And you got a right to be worried because we had that company guarantee South Road when they fixed the cracks, and it didn't work, and they disappeared on us.
All right, thank you.
Marie.
So I'm reading over the page here where it says bid option 1A for the 8, 1B for the 10 pickleball courts. Those 2 don't include new fencing, correct? So what we're looking at right here, if I'm reading this correctly, the fence is going to stay at the annex. We're not going to be putting in new fencing. We'd have to add money for new fencing.
Nope, there is fencing that goes through.
There is fencing in this quote.
Yes, for the 8 and the 10.
For the 8 and 10, the fencing is included.
Correct.
Okay, I just wanted to verify that then. All right.
So what's the additional money for?
Well, if we go with B. with 2? See, we were talking about that. If we go with bid 2, if we go with option 2,
If the megaplex or whatever you want to call
Correct.
it.
10
because you
is
have-
plus.
Because you have to separate the two areas, they would have to be another 2 rows of fencing.
okay.
All right, we misunderstood.
Because we had some discussion about this, and reading through this a little bit more carefully, it looked to me like this did include the fencing. The 586 does include new fencing.
Correct.
Okay. Just want to verify that.
Any other questions? Councilman Russo.
So I'm glad the lighting is part of the proposal, because the high school kids, they've really taken to pickleball, probably because of some of the people in this room that have really grown the sport. And as we know, high school kids in the summer, they don't get up early. They like to play at night. So believe it or not, they have a huge contingent of high schoolers been going over to Enfield High School because there's lights and they use the tennis courts. Now, it's not marked for pickleball, but that's why they kind of go over there. So I'm glad to see that the lighting is in the proposal. Is there a certain time the lights are going to turn off at night? Has that been discussed?
No, those are logistics we can work out after, but the lighting is already existing here now. They already work. It's just that pole in the southeast corner that is missing. But if you keep it to this side, that's why we kept it on the westerly side, those 4 lights, you get the one right where my cursor is, this one, and this one would illuminate those courts.
All right, and as far as the existing fencing that's there, have we looked at any potential quotes or how much it costs if we kept the existing fencing and just made some improvements or repairs?
That is keeping this perimeter on the outside, then we're going to take down some of this to put it in through here to match it.
Correct. Do we have a cost for that?
It's
It's all
That's
part of this
included
quote.
as part of
Yeah.
it.
Using this fencing.
Using the existing fencing, so the
Yep.
extra fencing that you'll have, and then you'll
Yeah.
just, okay.
'Cause
Put it
if you
back in.
read this,
Okay.
that's what it says.
Thank you.
All set, Jeff?
Yes.
Anyone else? Seeing none, roll call.
Counselor Sakala.
4.
Counselor Crisati.
4.
Counselor Hendrickson.
4.
Counselor Ledwick.
4.
Counselor Mangini.
4.
Counselor Nasuda.
4.
Mayor Nelson.
4.
Deputy Mayor Pisner.
4.
Counselor Russo.
4.
Counselor Santinella.
4.
And Counselor Ungary.
4.
11 members in favor, none against.
Thank you.
LLC starting in 2028 for a period not to exceed 10 years after final review by the town attorney. Date prepared 5/12/2025, prepared by the Department of Economic and Community Development.
Second.
Motion's made and seconded. Questions? Yes. Please.
I'd like to make an amendment to this resolution. Have it added to this, be it further resolved that 50% of the tax increment revenues from the shops at Elm Street Square project shall be deposited into the shops at Elm Street Square project cost subaccount, but in no event shall the amount deposited into the subaccount exceed $2.4 million over the 10-year period.
Is there a second?
Second.
Motion's made and seconded. All in favor of the amendment? What's that? They just gave it, this is the language for TIF. Yeah, this came from the town.
That effectively is, that effectively reflects the policy. There was concern because the resolution didn't address that, and so we wanted to make sure that.
If this came in this afternoon on our email, I
It's
have not gotten it.
clarification.
Yep, okay. I have not been able to look at it yet.
All right, no, I just.
Okay. All in favor of the amendment? Opposed? Abstentions? The amendment is unanimous. Any questions on the original or the amendment, resolution as amended? Mike?
I don't know if you, through the mayor to the town manager. So 2 things, I want to make sure. So we're saying 50, is it being requested that the town cover the full cost of the road improvements? I apologize, I wasn't here last meeting.
I think originally, they were requesting a 20-year timeframe,
Yep.
which would have covered the complete cost. But with it being reduced down to the 10-year, they're probably not going to get anywhere close to what that full
So
cost
was the
is.
original cost at the 20 years, 2.4 million?
Yeah, so in the original request that went through the TIF committee, they had asked for 20 years, not to exceed the cost of the work that was going to be done, which was approximately 2.4 million. So their motion was to grant the 20-year with a cap not to exceed the 2.4 million.
So I know we're saying 50% here, but if we're doing it within 10 years at the same cost, isn't that 100% coverage?
No.
No.
It's never going to get that high.
Yeah,
It's only the 50%.
Yeah, because
You're saying it's not to exceed 2.4?
Right.
Okay. I want to make sure, because I don't think we should be covering the full cost of our state road improvement. And also, and I'm just saying, again, I understand that area well, grew up. I don't see how you widen that area, and maybe, I hope I'm wrong, where there couldn't be maybe some part of those houses being taken or eminent domain or something. And I before I agree to anything, I know it's hard to say it's what's going to happen, but it's hard to agree to using taxpayer money when if some house is being taken through eminent domain, because again, that narrow stretch of road, right where it is in St. Thomas, I don't see how you can widen that and not have impact on people are still living there too, by the way.
Well, I think, and again, I didn't have a chance to look fully at what most of that work is going to be to the property that
Right.
yeah. So I don't think it's really going to be extending outside of that because, as you point, there's a greater issue in dealing with that.
So I guess so if it's a state road, they're going to be widening it through DOT, we're covering half the cost or up to a certain point of it. But DOT controls the specs, correct? They control, so if it's decided, because it doesn't work, whether it be drainage, whatever it may be, site, that they end up wanting to take a property, we should have a right to relook at this agreement.
Well, I think we provided on your desk what the state is requiring them to do.
Right.
And so that's the scope.
Yeah, I know, I didn't get a chance to read my town email today, sorry.
No, that's not a problem.
State's not doing the work.
No.
The
Yeah.
developer
But the
is.
state,
So
he's still gonna, state's gonna have in control of what he's gonna do, even if he's doing the work.
Well, I mean, other projects similar to this where the state requires some work to be done, an erection of a light, or again, creating turn lanes to kind of relieve the pressure on the main travel lanes. They generally keep it to within, the area, the area that is ostensibly controlled by the property owner. They wouldn't require that the property owner go outside of that to, take property. I mean, that would be more of a state project, which would be a totally different animal that we'd be talking about now. So this primarily, from the state's perspective, is just addressing the increased traffic in and out that's going to happen for that site, not looking at some of the greater issues with that area. I mean, again, this will help the area. It will not solve the issues of that area. So
I think for me, I just want to be clear, I mean, I believe in a TIF district, as you know, and it's there. But the fact that, again, the state will not cover the cost, it bothers me. I have to be upfront. All the things that we get roped into, again, what happened down on South River Street, other areas of town where, again, the state has certain rules and guidelines, and we end up bearing the cost. And then now you're widening a state road, and the town has to use its TIF district. Again, I'm just saying from a fundamental perspective, I'm not arguing with, as long as the 50% is covered, which I'm fine with extending the basic TIF agreement. I don't want to do anything special here, I'm sorry. It doesn't, not using taxpayer money to widen a state road, even if, again, I understand there's going to be benefit to the town. I'm not naive, but, I mean, you're right, it's arguable. And so I appreciate you answering it because I want it on record. Because this is a tough one. I want to vote no. I'll be upfront with you. I want to vote no. because I don't agree, that I'm not against the project. I'm agree with the fundamental perspective that we have to, again, pony up local dollars because the state won't, again, do what they're supposed to do, in my opinion. So that's my issue, not the project in general, nothing against the development or the it just bothers me that this continues with everything else, with all the other things that are going on, how they continue to push everything on us, and we're the ones that have to find the funding. So I appreciate your answer. Thank you for allowing me to speak.
Anyone else? Okay, roll call, please.
Counselor Sakala.
4.
Counselor Crisati.
4.
Counselor Hendrickson.
4.
Counselor Ludwig.
4.
Counselor Mangini.
4.
Counselor Nasuda.
4.
Mayor Nelson.
4.
Deputy Mayor Pisner.
4.
Counselor Russo.
4.
Counselor Santinella.
4.
Counselor Ungary.
4.
11 in favor, none against.
Thank you, Sheila. Next is a resolution to submit to the electors the proposed revisions to the Town of Enfield Charter for approval at referendum. Be it resolved, in accordance with the Connecticut General Statute 7-191, that revisions to the Enfield Town Charter, as proposed by the Charter Revision Commission and approved by the Enfield Town Council at regular meeting of June 16, 2025, be submitted to the electors for approval at a referendum in conjunction with the regular municipal election on Tuesday, November 4th, 2025, and be it further resolved that if the proposed revisions to the charter are approved by referendum vote at said election, the effective date of the revised charter will be December 4th, 2025. And be it further resolved that in accordance with Connecticut General Statute 7-191F, that the council hereby submits the following wording for the ballot in the form of one question. Shall the Enfield Town Charter be revised as proposed by the Charter Revision Commission and as approved by the Enfield Town Council by Resolution 7276 at its regular meeting of June 16th, 2025. Date prepared 6/18/2025, prepared by Sheila M. Bailey, Town Clerk.
So moved.
Second.
Motion's made and seconded. Any comments? Can we just make sure that all the changes are posted every single place this town can post something so people have full access to see what they're voting on? I mean, and this week, so.
The Red Line Charter is available. If you go to the town clerk's website, there's a page for Charter Revision Commission. It's 2024 because that's when we started it. The full Red Line will be there, as well as in the next resolution, there'll be explanatory text prepared that will be given to all the residents.
And so the explanatory text will just be a synopsis of this is what we're changing.
Just a one-page synopsis, right? And if anybody wants to research and see what the original wording was, they can go to that Red Line Charter.
Right. All right. And can we put a link on the town manager's website so everybody can just share this? And I just don't want people to say, you know, so I'd rather have people beat it. Okay. Roll call, please.
Counselor Sakala.
4.
Counselor Crisati.
4.
Counselor Hendrickson.
4.
Counselor Ludwig.
4.
Counselor Mangini.
4.
Counselor Nasuda.
4.
Mayor Nelson.
4.
Deputy Mayor Pisner.
4.
Counselor Russo.
4.
Counselor Santinella.
4.
And Counselor Ungary.
4.
11 members in favor, none against.
Thank you, Sheila. Next is a resolution authorizing the preparation and printing of explanatory text of the proposed charter revision for the electors. Be it resolved, in order to allow the electors of Enfield to be better informed about the proposed revisions of the Enfield Town Charter that will be voted on at the November 4th, 2025 municipal election, and pursuant to Connecticut General Statute 9-369B, A in parentheses, the Enfield Town Council does hereby authorize the preparation and printing of concise, explanatory text to be prepared by the town clerk, subject to approval of the town attorney for public distribution. Date prepared 6/18/2025, prepared by Sheila M. Bailey.
So
Town
moved.
Clerk.
Second.
Motion's made and seconded. Any questions? I probably should have read that before I asked all the questions. Sorry. Roll call, please.
Counselor Sakala.
4.
Counselor Crisati.
4.
Counselor Hendrickson.
4.
Counselor Ludwig.
4.
Counselor Mangini.
4.
Counselor Nasuda.
4.
Mayor Nelson.
4.
Deputy Mayor Pisner.
4.
Counselor Russo.
4.
Counselor Santinella. Counselor Ungary.
4.
11 members in favor, none against.
Thank you, Sheila. Next is a resolution to approve a 4-year collective bargaining agreement with the AFSCME Council Number 4, Local Number 129, Public Works Unit. Be it resolved that the Enfield Town Council does hereby approve the 4-year collective bargaining agreement between the Town of Enfield and the AFSCME Council Number 4, Local Number 1029, Public Works Union, dated July 1st, 2024 through July 30th, 2028. Date prepared 7/9/2025, prepared by Steve Belinda, Director of Human Resources and Assistant Town Manager.
So moved.
Motion's made and seconded. I just want to thank the union. They were phenomenal to work with. I think Steve, I mean, they was great. It was great. And I got to say, most of the unions, I know we've made some tough cuts, and they stepped up. And I will be the first to say, you know, when we made the changes to trash, we had some concerns, and they did it. They stepped up. They got the job done with the same quality service. So kudos to them. We had a long ways to go, but we're getting there. So
They also stepped up with the custodians, too, when we had a shortage. They've been stepping up there, too, so it's...
we're still working on that.
I know.
But, yeah, but definitely, they're getting the jobs done.
Yes.
So kudos to them. Any other questions? Seeing none, roll call, please.
Counselor Sakala.
4.
Counselor Crisati.
4.
Counselor Hendrickson.
4.
Counselor Ludwig.
4.
Counselor Mangini.
4.
Counselor Nasuda.
4.
Mayor Nelson.
4.
Deputy Mayor Pisner.
4.
Counselor Russo.
4.
Counselor Santinella. Counselor Ungary.
4.
11 members in favor, none against.
Thank you. Next is a resolution authorizing the town manager to enter into agreements with the State of Connecticut Department of Economic and Community Development and 33 North River Street LLC.
Move to waive the reading.
Second.
All in favor of waiving the reading? Okay. Any questions? Seeing none, roll call.
Counselor Sakala.
4.
Counselor Crisati.
4.
Counselor Hendrickson.
4.
Counselor Ludwig.
4.
Counselor Mangini.
4.
Counselor Nasuda.
4.
Mayor Nelson.
4.
Deputy Mayor Pisner.
4.
Counselor Russo.
4.
Counselor Santinella.
4.
And Counselor Ungary.
4.
11 in favor, none against.
Thank you. Next is a resolution to transfer funds for CCM membership, $32,132. Be it resolved that in accordance with Chapter 6, Section 8F of the Town Charter, the following transfer is hereby made from general fund transfer out and contingencies $32,132 to non-town agencies, Connecticut Conference of Municipalities, miscellaneous expenditures, $32,132. Date prepared 7/11/2025, prepared by the town manager's office.
Second.
Motion is made and seconded. Any questions? Councilman Hendrickson.
Just a quick one. I know we took it out last year, and it looks like it missed the budget. That's why it's being presented again here, because it did go through. Just the $32,000, the town feels that this is something that's worth $32,000 again.
Yeah, I mean, you know, these type of memberships, it's what you make of it. I mean, if you don't use the services that they provide and the opportunities they provide to you, definitely not worth it. But I know when I was here last, we did a number of great partnership things. They saved us money on on, I think, electricity, and I can't remember, there's like 3 or 4 different projects that they worked off. So, those years alone, it was worth that, and I don't see why we wouldn't be partnering with them in the future.
Thank you for the answer.
Anyone else? Roll call.
Counselor Sakala.
4.
Counselor Crisati.
4.
Counselor Hendrickson.
4.
Counselor Ludwig.
Against.
Counselor Mangini.
4.
Counselor Nasuda.
4.
Mayor Nelson.
4.
Deputy Mayor Pisner.
4.
Counselor Russo.
4.
Counselor Santinella.
4.
Counselor Ungary.
4.
10 members in favor, 1 against.
Next is a resolution to appropriate funds for social services grants to outside agencies supporting the Enfield residents, $98,500. Be it resolved that in accordance with Chapter 6, Section 8F of the Town Charter, the following transfer is hereby made from general fund
Mr.
revenue.
Mayor, I'm going to move to waive the reading.
I'm already halfway through.
Okay.
Appropriated fund balance, $98,500. You should have done it 10 minutes ago. 2, general fund non-departmental charges, transfer out and contingencies. Transfer to social services, $98,500. From social services, community initiatives, general fund transfers in $98,500 to social services community initiatives. Network Against Domestic Abuse, $17,000. Amplify, Inc., $3,000. Educational Resources for Children, EFRC, $13,000. Enfield Food Shelf, $17,000. Kite, $12,000. Enfield People for People, $13,000. Enfield Homefront Team, $8,500. Loaves and Fishes, $15,000. Date prepared 5/14/2025, prepared by John A. Wilcox.
Second.
Second.
Okay, motion's made and seconded. I just have a question for the town attorney. Homefront is, or is it People for People?
People. It's right
Okay,
here.
so,
This is the one that goes
so
to the
People for People, they have the warming shelter at the church. And we saw their tax, what they declared on their taxes. Now, we're basically a pass-through with that money through them to the church. Now, I know the town of Enfield got sued for paying churches through the Board of Education. So we did the same thing. The money passed through the Board of Education, went to a church. We got sued and we lost. Isn't this doing the same thing?
The answer, Mayor, is that we're passing. It's a pass-through, thank you. It's a pass-through for a secular purpose. In other words, we're not, the town of Enfield is not passing money through a conduit to the church to support the religious functions or purposes of the church. We're not supporting a mass. We're not supporting care for the staff of the church, the priests, the nuns, what have you. What we are doing is we are passing money through in order to support a warming shelter, which is a public purpose, which has no alignment and doesn't advance any particular religious belief or faith. But it's a great question.
Well, how does renting a church hall and having graduation there differ in any way?
If we're renting the church hall just for the purposes of renting the hall in order to support the Enfield Public School graduation, that's one thing because that's a public purpose. It has no ties, and we're not advancing any religious faith or message. If we're renting the hall in order to support the Northwest Catholic graduation, that is something completely different. But I have to be honest with you, is that I don't see a problem, but I don't have a crystal ball, and anybody can sue us at any time for any reason, and then we're here to defend you. But they're great questions because there's always a question of liability anytime you enter into this type of agreement.
No, I understand that, but we got sued and we lost. We
Right.
didn't pay any religious, or we just rented a hall. And people said government religion can't do it, and it's the same thing, and we lost in court. And so I support all of these, but I'm not going to support something that may get us tied up in a lawsuit again, especially since every single one of us saw their tax return that showed the money going right to the church. So I personally would like to see a motion to remove the People for People 13,000 until, go ahead, John.
Can I just comment on?
Sure.
So just through the mayor to the town attorney, or to you. So I believe that lawsuit was that the graduation ceremony was held in the church itself, and the funds were actually given to the church, which then later was, they were commingled with church funds, which is exactly what the town attorney said. This is very different from that purpose. It is, in this particular case, it is going to the church, as he just explained. I think that's the difference in the case that we lost. I just want to remember, we weren't simply just renting a hall. The funds in the case showed that the funds became commingled with church funds.
Right, it became corpus of the church,
which were
so that they were
exactly
operating funds
so it's
of
not,
the church to support
I'm just trying to
function.
clarify what the difference is and why we lost that case, because it was commingled in that, in sort of the same bank account, if you will, that didn't distinguish between church activity and hall rental, if that makes you feel any better. I'm sure it doesn't.
I just don't want to get sued over $13,000. So if nobody's willing to make a motion, then Cindy.
I can't clarify it any better than Councilman Santinelli. He did a fine job pulling it apart as our attorney. I certainly do support funding the People for People, the Warming Center, and I understand, Ken, your concern about being sued again, but I think we need to look at the whole picture, and we need to look at and try and understand the difference. There is a clear and concise difference that both John and our attorney laid out. So I certainly am not in support of removing that. Thank you.
Councilor Mangini, I agree with you on the full picture here. I asked for a special meeting so that these groups could come in and explain what the money was being used for. That didn't happen. I'm looking for a reason how to go forward on this. And I'm going to abstain anyway. Obviously, I'm on the board of one of these. But an explanation and full disclosure is what should have been done before we moved money over there. In my opinion, we should know. So that was my 2 cents on this.
To answer Bob's, we will invite them in as special guests. We're not going to do one special meeting because I couldn't get enough people to do it. So they will get called in, but we can't penalize them because we didn't do it last year. We should have started after last budget and said, this is what we're doing for this budget. We didn't. So right now we're saying that's what we're doing. We're putting it back. This is how we used to always do it when I was on the council. I don't know why it stopped. And to me, it's not grilling them or making them beg for money. It's a free TV commercial for them. Come in and say what great good you do for the community. That's it. I mean, we always did it before. So let's just bring it back. I support that 100%, Bob, but we should have done it at the end of last year's budget. We didn't. So let's do it moving forward from this point. Mike.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
So I appreciate, Mayor DeTown, I appreciate your explanation, but if we're a pass-through, any funds can be commingled. And I'm not suggesting they are, but we don't control that commingling. And so I'm all for helping people. I mean, I want people to have a safe place to eat and have a place to sleep. But we can't guarantee that won't be commingled. And I don't see why we don't wait. It's only 13 grand. I understand, but we can wait on that piece to get, maybe let you get a chance to read through what happened years ago with the Bloomfield site, so we can feel a little bit better legally, because because, right, we can't tell them how to spend the money.
If I may, Mayor, through you to the councilman, it's a very good point. But the thing is that you have a right to put restrictions on your resolutions, restrictions as to how the money is used and how the money is accounted for, as you know. But as the members of the council, you have the responsibility to the community. One, to look into the matter. Two, not to vote until you are satisfied you've got all the answers and you've made your determination. And then to make the public policy determination of, is this something you want to do? And also to make the public policy determination of what are the litigation risks? Is there a risk that you're going to be sued? Is there a risk that you're going to lose? And those are, I mean, we can provide legal counsel, but the policy decision is always yours because you are the elected body.
Yeah, I would like to make a motion to suspend that portion, the 13 grand, until we get a legal opinion from the town attorney.
I'll second it.
Thank you for your explanation. I agree. I think we at least need to have that, and if we pass it on, that's fine. But then at least we've thought about this before we pass a resolution. We get sued, to your point, we get sued for anything. But we're also thinking through, to your point, the logistics of the policy, which I think we do need to put some restrictions so there isn't, to the very best of our ability, we're not having them commingle the funds, which we should have a right to do since it's taxpayer money. Thank you very much.
All right. So the motion's made and seconded to amend this to remove the Enfield People for People $13,000. All in favor of the amendment? Opposed?
I want to ask a question if I could, on the amendment. Can I?
You can.
Okay,
They're telling
thank
you
you.
to vote.
My question on the amendment, I'm opposed to the amendment. I do not want to throw the baby out with the bathwater. We need to reinstate this money for these nonprofits. So how do we do that? Obviously, you've got the votes to remove it.
You just did it, Cindy.
All right, but we want to have a separate resolution for people for people?
We're removing it for right now.
Yeah.
We're going to get a legal opinion on that one for the next meeting.
Okay.
And then vote on that one. We're still approving
okay.
all of these going forward.
I just want confirmation.
Yes, that's exactly what my amendment was, exactly what the mayor said. We just want a legal opinion to protect us. That's
The
all.
money's still there, it's just
Yep.
Okay, I want confirmation
Clarification.
that we're not penalizing any of these
none of
others.
they're getting dollar for dollar.
All right.
I just don't want to approve something we've already been sued for. All right, so the motion, the amendment passes. Now, any other questions? Sorry, go ahead, John.
So through the mayor to the town attorney. So last year, this same council appropriated those funds to the same organization, and it did it the year before, and the year before, and the year before. So we can still get sued for those prior contributions, correct?
You can be sued within the statute of limitations.
Which, from last year, we probably are still under.
You are.
Exactly. Thank you.
Generally, statute of limitations.
Okay. Thank you.
If it's contract's about 6 years, so yeah.
But what's the point if we're trying to write? I mean, we can't go back. We can't write around. We're trying to make sure we fix it going forward. And sorry if other levels of government did their instead of just passing on money to NGOs and all these where the money doesn't go.
Well, other levels of government are giving less food, less shelter.
Okay, don't get started.
Including a state rep who
Don't get
voted to
started.
cut Enfield food share. Okay, so roll call, please.
No.
Point of order. Can we just move forward with the vote here?
Roll call, please.
Counselor Sikala,
Against, as amended.
Counselor Crisati,
Against as amended.
Counselor Hendrickson,
Abstain.
Counselor Ludwig,
For
Counselor Mangini,
For,
Counselor Nasuda,
4.
Mayor Nelson,
For,
Deputy Mayor Pisner,
4.
Counselor Russo,
4.
Counselor Santinella,
4.
and Counselor Ungary.
4.
8 members in favor, 2 against, and 1 abstention.
thank you. And next, the last one is authorizing to submit a grant to AARP Livable Community Program. This be it resolved that the Enfield Town Council authorizes the town manager or their designee to submit a grant request to the AARP Livable Communities Program for the purchase and installation of a new 3-sided kiosk at the Barnes Boat Launch. Date prepared 7/18/2025, prepared by the Office of Economic and Community Development.
So moved.
Second.
Questions? This is to replace the kiosk that burnt down at the boat launch. I want to thank several people who found this grant and got it to us last minute, so that's why it's on here. I apologize, but it's got to get in. So roll call, please.
Counselor Sakala.
4.
Counselor Crissati.
4.
Counselor Hendrickson.
4.
Counselor Ludwig.
4.
Counselor Mangini.
4.
Counselor Nasuda.
4.
Mayor Nelson.
4.
Deputy Mayor Pisner.
4.
Counselor Russo.
4.
Counselor Santinella.
4.
And Counselor Ungary.
4.
11 members in favor, none against.
Next is items for discussion. Are there any items for discussion this weekend, or this week?
This
None?
night?
15, any other business proper to come before said meeting? Seeing none. Public communication, would anyone like to come speak to the council? George, come on up.
George Young, 8 Holly Lane. I just want to go back to the senior volunteer credit, which I, of course, had never received $1. But in last year and the year before, probably less than 200 people applied, and there was less than $80,000 spent on that particular credit. The next year, for some reason, the council decided we should have $100,000 put into the budget. I thought it should be $80,000. This year, I doubt that you spent $60,000. So what are you going to do with the other $40,000 that you budgeted for 2025? I know in fiscal 27 you decided that too many of the wrong people were getting it, so you decided not to allow any money in fiscal 27. For $60,000, I'm not sure that that's a good decision for those people that volunteered. And since they probably spent at least 4 or 5 months volunteering, thinking they might get it, it didn't change what they were doing. But they probably, I think, should have been involved and gotten the money. The second thing I just want to talk about, I know you've already approved this, and I don't play pickleball. I probably could, but I don't because I have other things that I do. You approved 8 pickleball courts. So I didn't hear this, but the average cost of a pickleball court became $73,281 if you did the math. If you went to 10, which I don't know why you wouldn't do it for a little more, $30,000 more, you'd reduce the cost to $61,959 per pickleball court. That's $11,000. You tell me, wow, we get so many people that we can't accommodate them. You wouldn't have to with 10 pickleball courts. You just cut your average cost from $73,000 down to $62,000, $11,000 per court. I think you ought to look at this again and consider 10. He was going to explain that he had 10 on the board, but I don't think he really got into it. Then the last question I have, all this money that you're giving to the people that, those organizations that help Enfield residents, I'm trying to remember, but I think in the charter it says if they get more than $5,000, they have to have a representative from the town council. Do all of these people have representatives from the town council? That would be my question, and thank you for your time. And I thank the town manager for giving us some updates on the audit situation, which I appreciate. Thanks.
Thank you, George. Anyone else? Councilman communication?
I do want to make a comment.
Go ahead.
Thank you. I do want to thank the 4th of July committee. I had thanked them privately and on Facebook, but I want to make it public. They obviously performed outstanding. Every year they top their efforts even more. And I served with Lori as liaison, and we were there 3 days and 3 nights. But these volunteers that they have, people that are not on the committee, it's just phenomenal. The dedication and the time and the hard work. And as Lori mentioned earlier, the committee begins the process, I think it's in February, and goes right up. Yeah, in August we do the wrap-up. So again, I can't thank the committee enough for all the happy people that came through the gate. And thank you, Lori, for sitting there with me side by side.
Thank you.
All set, Cindy? Anyone else? I would just like to say, welcome back, Matt. Great first meeting. I mean, if Gina didn't talk so much, we could have been out of here a little earlier, but motion to adjourn.
So move.
Second.
All in favor?